Is this working? Am I on? Oh, wow. I love this. Let me go ahead and share this on a couple social media sites real quick as we get this going for you. Hey, RW3 on the channel. Got another video for you here on a Sunday morning. Wasn't necessarily anticipating doing a video on a Sunday morning, but if you were up late last night or if you're just waking up now, you probably understand why. Late last night at about 9:30, the Dallas Cowboys agreed to sign veteran quarterback Andy Dalton to be the team's new backup. Now, probably shouldn't surprise anybody that he's going to slot right into that backup slot. Cooper Rush likely going to be gone from here. May just agreed to a deal. His tender was just $2.1 million, none of it guaranteed for Cooper Rush. Now that Andy Dalton comes in on a 1-year, $3 million guaranteed deal, that means you're paying just $900,000 more than what you were going to pay with Cooper Rush as the backup. That's incredible value from this Cowboys organization. And once again, they went and made a move that a lot of people didn't think they would be willing to do. Hey, bud, I'm on YouTube at the moment. I'm video screening. So let's get into the deal, shall we? We got a bunch of things to get to. Again, at RW3 on Twitter if you want to interact with me, and I would love it if you would smash the subscribe button. If you want to share some comments in the channel, let me know what you think about the deal. I'd love to hear that as well. But we'll grade the deal. We'll talk about the impact on the Dak negotiations, of course. Do the Cowboys have the best backup in the NFL? And the surprising stat I want to share with you that you might not believe Andy Dalton shares equally with Dak Prescott. We'll get into all of that here on the channel. Again, RW3, Roy White, thank you guys for joining us. So as far as grading the deal goes, how do you not give the Cowboys another A to A+ in this grading department? Now, I understand at this point, we're all like a teacher who's been watching a C student for a decade all of a sudden turning in tests and turning in homework that's grading out at an A level. So it's reasonable to get a little suspicious about something like that. And maybe you'd say, hey, the Cowboys are cheating if we were in a classroom. But inexplicably, Mike McCarthy comes in. The Cowboys seem to make an entirely different move when it comes to how they're going to approach building their football team. And here we are with a quality backup quarterback. The first time ever in the last decade that the Cowboys seem to have valued the position. And now they have one of the better ones to do it in the NFL. We're talking about a guy who has over 130 starts in the NFL, has thrown over 200 touchdowns in the NFL. The next highest starter in terms of games started amongst backup quarterbacks around the NFL is the guy who just signed in New Orleans, Jameis Winston. And he's only at about 86 games. So Andy Dalton has about 50 more games than the next most experienced backup quarterback around the NFL today. I don't know how you can't give the Cowboys a glowing grade after what they did to bring in Andy Dalton with this deal. So I'm going to go ahead and give them an A+ on this thing. Something worth noting, $3 million guaranteed, but $7 million he can earn another $4 million in incentives. They haven't released the language on whether or not those incentives are likely to be earned or unlikely to be earned. You would think with a backup quarterback, they would probably be unlikely to be earned because unless something happens to your starting quarterback, the guy's likely not going to see the field, right? But in the collective bargaining agreement, they do have language like that on contracts like this. So if it were to be designated as likely to be earned, that $4 million in incentive, then it would count against the cap in 2020. However, if it's unlikely to be earned, the Cowboys don't have to account for that in their 2020 cap. If he does happen to earn the incentive, then they can roll that over into the next season, just like if he only earns $3 million, they can roll that extra into 2021 as well. So fantastic deal for the Cowboys. They had a great veteran in Andy Dalton, and now things start to shift. We turn to the conversation about what this means for Dak Prescott. Make no mistake, there is no doubt in my mind that Dak Prescott is still the starting quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. I've seen a few people on social media interacting with me at RW3 that think Andy could come in and win this job, or think it would be a better scenario to start Andy Dalton at $3 million and then potentially try to move Dak or trade Dak away. Look, at this point in time, the idea that you're just going to be able to snap your fingers and get a deal suitable for what you want for Dak Prescott is probably unlikely. And the Cowboys have made it clear time and time again that he is their quarterback of the future. Now, does signing Andy Dalton give them some leverage in Dak Prescott's negotiations? I don't necessarily think that's true. I don't think it gives him a ton of leverage, but it does give them some, in that they can say to Dak, if you don't want to sign your franchise tender on July 15th, when he will either need to sign or have agreed to a long-term deal, then they can at least say they feel comfortable going in with Andy Dalton into training camp and into the regular season to Dak Prescott. Right now, he could look at them as Cooper Rush was the backup and say, you guys have no chance. You have absolutely no chance of winning anything if Cooper Rush is your starting quarterback, so you have to bring me in. It's a slight amount of leverage. Prior to this signing, the Cowboys had none. They had zero leverage. But because of this signing, they now have a slight bit. More so than anything, though, I think it's just a veteran presence to be on this team, and a guy who, by all accounts in Cincinnati, was a team-first guy through and through. Also want to note, by the way, he and his wife donated $100,000 to their own charity to help out the people of Cincinnati who were affected by the coronavirus, even after he was released. So there's no doubt in my mind that DFW, Dallas-Fort Worth, is getting incredibly valuable in terms of the community and in terms of the locker room when it comes to Andy Dalton and the type of person he is. But again, I don't think it really impacts the Dak negotiations that much. It does impact them. So for anybody to say that it doesn't impact them at all, I think that's folly, because you previously had no backup option, and now you do. And at least a guy you think you can win a few games. Dak now probably needs to decide within his camp, okay, do I want to take too much of the offseason off, not get myself ready to go, and risk playing poorly in the early going and having those questions come up? Now, again, it would take him playing very, very poorly to have those questions be brought up. But Dak Prescott is the same guy who witnessed and was a part of a takeover when he became the starting quarterback in place of Tony Romo. He knows how it can go. He won 5 out of 6 games, and despite Tony Romo probably being the better option at the time, were he healthy, Dak Prescott got to continue to ride it out. So he knows what it's like. He knows that there's a little bit of pressure there, and I do believe it adds just a smidge of leverage in the Cowboys' favor. Best backup conversation in the NFL. Is Andy Dalton now the best backup in the NFL? Well, at $3 million, he is the 7th highest paid backup in the National Football League. If he winds up earning the $7 million through incentives, he would be the 3rd highest paid backup in the NFL. I truly believe, though, in the instance in which he needed to come into a game and win you that game, come in off the bench and win you that football game, I think Andy Dalton is more than capable of that, and I think he's as capable or more capable than any other backup in the league. Now, if you asked me if I have a 4-game stretch, who I would rather have, Andy Dalton or, say, Jameis Winston backing up Drew Brees in New Orleans, I think I'll take my chances with Jameis. I know there are a lot of people down on him, but I still believe in the arm strength. I still believe in the quality of a player that he is. And, you know, there's 2 other things there. He's younger than Andy Dalton, number 1, and he has his eyesight finally. It's not being talked enough about. This guy said he couldn't even read street signs when he was driving home at night, and now he went and got his eyes fixed. So I would still lean that Jameis is probably the best backup in the NFL for an extended stretch, but if you just need to come in and win 1 game, come in at halftime and take things over, cool the team down, and settle things in, Andy Dalton is the perfect guy for that scenario. So again, the Cowboys hit an absolute home run by signing the veteran quarterback, Andy Dalton, to a 1-year, $3 million deal. Finally, the surprising stat that Dalton and Dak share. Since Dak Prescott came into the league in 2016, where do you think he ranks amongst quarterbacks in terms of fourth quarter comebacks? He's 5th. He has 8 fourth quarter comebacks since 2016, since he came into the league. That actually has him tied with Andy Dalton. Hang on, bud. I'll get to you. Hang on. Just sit tight. That actually has him tied with Andy Dalton for 5th in the NFL. That's right. Both Andy and Dak, since 2016, each have 8 fourth quarter comebacks. Only Matthew Stafford, Drew Brees, Derek Carr, and Russell Wilson are above them during that same time frame. So again, that to me points to the idea that if Andy Dalton comes into a game, the Cowboys are behind, and you need him to settle things down and settle in for just a game, I feel extremely comfortable about bringing Andy Dalton in to that deal. So if you would like to share some of your thoughts at RW3 on Twitter, please share it in the comments as well. I'd love to interact with you guys a little bit more. And, thanks for checking out the channel. Go ahead and subscribe. Tell your friends, share it along if you would, please. And, my last thought on that, just real quickly on the Dak versus Andy stuff. If anybody's going to tell you that Andy Dalton is a better quarterback than Dak Prescott now, they're being absolutely insane. In the last 4 years, Andy Dalton and Dak Prescott have only tied in quarterback rating one time. That was 2017. Every other year, Dak's had a better quarterback rating. In 2018 was the only season in which Andy Dalton had a better QBR. That's the ESPN rating. Had a better QBR than Dak Prescott. In all other 3 years, Dak has dominated him in that sense, including last year when Dak Prescott had about a 70 and Andy Dalton was sitting around the 40s. It was an abysmal year for Andy Dalton, but he was hurt a little bit of the time too. So again, very excited for this deal. Cowboys fans have got to be ecstatic over the fact that this front office and the Cowboys are willing to make the types of moves that we wouldn't have even considered them making prior to this because of who was at the helm. So thank you guys for checking it out. If you did, go ahead and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. I'd love to bring you more videos like this, and I would love to continue to interact with you. So give me a shout out sometime. Cowboys signing Andy Dalton, baby. You can't be upset about that. Take care, guys.